Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXT Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Well, trackies, currently it is the 14th of May, 2024. So we're in the middle of May. And I have a few questions, and one particular question that has been picking at me, and a few persons have also been asking, what is going on is where is Kishane Thompson? The Kishane Thompson that came to fore in 2023, shocking many, including myself, coming to the national championships and running a 9.91 seconds, and thereafter, removing himself from the competition. But a lot of us were left saying, who that? Who is this person? Where did he come from? You know what I mean? And yes, after doing research, clearly he was running before that, but he really came to fore after running that 9.91 seconds. And then we did hear his coach, Stephen Francis, come out and say that was always the plan. As it stands right now, he's not an athlete that will be able to manage the rounds. So, with that said, he was only scheduled to do one run, and that was it. And that run was impressive enough for Jamaicans to now consider him as one to look forward to seeing in the future. But not only that, track is not only that. Kishane Thompson went on to do some individual circuit runs as well that left us even more impressed that he was the second coming. The reason I said second coming is because I'm likening him to one particular athlete that, Stephen Francis coached over the years and brought to the fore, and that is Asafa Powell, right? So, with that said, his impressive 2023 season left us gobsmacked. And then, herein after, considering again the talks as it relates to how much training he was actually able to put in 2023 versus the results that he got, getting all the way down to 9.85 seconds. But not only that, again, a handful of really impressive performances. We saw him run a 9.87 in Prefontaine, and of course, he has a 9.99 seconds. So today, it's a Kishane Thompson that really came to fore, as I said, at our national championships in the heats. Trackies has 4 sub 10 clock-ins, and again, his most impressive 9.85 seconds left us gobsmacked. And looking forward to the future as it relates to, okay, if he's able to get stronger, this season was a test run, or last season you'd say was a test run for him. Now, going into 2024, he should be able to put in more work from a background perspective. Now, when taking all those things into consideration, as I said, I likened his, improvements or vast improvements to that of Asafa Powell, and even better because I said, you know what, he could be a better version of Asafa Powell with everything that Stephen Francis has learned over the years from coaching, all culminating into this one athlete in 2024, Kishane Thompson. Again, breakout season 9.85, not much work done, a injury riddled season. Then we get into 2024, and then we consider the hopes, the prospects. Could we see Kishane Thompson even leapfrog a 9.7 and head straight into 9.6s? We saw how Asafa really catapulted on the world stage after his breakout season, I would say, right? So with that said, all bets were on Kishane Thompson, or all bets are still on Kishane Thompson to really be an athlete that will be able to come out and do some jaw-dropping performances and leave Jamaica impressed, and potentially as well challenge for gold in Paris. But since then, since all the talk and of course the expectations, unfortunately, we have yet to see Kishane Thompson. And of course, at this particular point, knowing that he's also an injury-prone athlete, we start to get worried. And now we are wondering if we'll be able to see Kishane Thompson this season, considering again that we have not seen him any at all. And now we're in the middle of May. Trials is literally a little over a month away, right? So at this particular point, I'll be expecting to see, most of the athletes stepping out, mid-May, maybe the last week in May, heading into June before trials, because clearly you'll have to get those races in before you head to the championships. And that is the national championships. That is the thought process. Though I would say that interestingly, when it comes to Kishane Thompson last season, he didn't have much races that he got in prior to going to the national championships, right? So with that said, heading into the national championships, there's still hope that, you know what, he can still turn up and still, perform optimally and hopefully be a part of the conversation for Team Jamaica, given his talent, right? But again, as I said, we haven't heard anything. So definitely we are very much concerned. I recall going across, his status some time ago, and he was talking about, I guess sometimes these athletes write subliminals. And if you're able to, I guess, read between the lines, you'll be able to figure out a few things. But he did post or make some posts talking about, struggling and how hard training is in that particular moment. So my thought process is, I was thinking that maybe he was going through something. Again, you know what it is, these athletes are pushing their bodies to the limit, so they're gonna get injured every now and again. So when I read that, I was thinking that, okay, maybe he's not 100% right now, but he did follow up that particular Instagram post with one that, indicated that he was still training. I believe that particular post said something along the lines of, training was tough today. You know what I mean? So with that said, even though I do believe that he was probably going through something, it seems as though, they were working through it and he was still training. So it's not, bad to the point where he was unable to train. So with that said, even though I'm concerned not seeing Kishane Thompson, seeing those particular posts kind of alleviated the stress from my perspective, somewhat, not seeing him, that okay, he's still training. Things might not be 100%, but he's still training, he's still getting the work done, and we'll see him eventually. However, at this particular point, as I said, it is mid-May, and I was hoping that by now we would be able to see Kishane Thompson, line up in an event someplace and just run, but we haven't seen him just yet. Just last week we saw Sharika Jackson. Now, for me personally, when I don't see Sharika, it's not that I get worried to the point where I'm like, okay, is she injured? Because she's not somebody that has troubled with injuries like that in the past. So I don't get worried from that perspective. I just think there's a grand scheme and there's a grand plan, and we'll see her eventually. And then we saw her last week, you know what I mean? And clearly Sharika is still good. And so with that said, thinking about a Kishane Thompson as well, I'm also, considering the fact that there is a grand plan when it comes to Stephen Francis. Clearly, he's always been a master planner when it comes to his athletes and, putting them out at the right time, never before, you know what I mean? So clearly, we just have to wait until that particular moment. But yeah, Stephen Francis, we are definitely hoping that everything is great with Kishane Thompson, because we're looking forward to seeing him in 2024 and, live up to that potential that a lot of us see in him, just based on, again, 1 year really, showing up and showing out and be like, okay, I'm down to 9.85. What will I be able to do if I'm able to get a full season of training in? It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And, taking all those things into consideration, I do believe that Kishane Thompson could very well be, challenging for that number one Jamaican spot male sprinter right now. Once he steps out, and he steps out 100%, I believe challenging the likes of an Oblique Seville. Right now, Oblique Seville is holding that spot. Even though Oblique Seville himself has not run a 100-meter race so far this season, he's still holding that spot based on, previous performances, right? He finished fourth also at the World Championships. So we have to keep those things in mind, right? But with that said, if Kishane Thompson comes out 100%, I definitely believe that he'll be able to challenge Oblique Seville. And don't get me wrong, this is not an Oblique Seville from yesteryear. I'm talking about a 2024 Oblique Seville that seems to be on the verge of doing something even more fabulous this season. I, am banking on Oblique Seville 1 getting into 9.7. Clearly, I don't think that's a question in my mind right now. But the question is, how much faster could he potentially go? Are we going to see that 9.6 that Glenn Mills spoke about years ago? Is that a possibility, right? But with that said, even when I consider those things in my mind, I do believe that Kishane Thompson also has a talent to be able to challenge an Oblique Seville for that number one male sprinting spot from a Jamaican perspective. And of course, both of them, in my opinion, have what it takes to head to Paris and be on the medal podium. And I think this is the year for Jamaica to herald its return to prominence in male sprinting. But anyway, Trackies, that is it for this particular video. Yes, we are concerned not seeing Kishane Thompson, but guess what? It is possibly part of the grand master plan by Stephen Francis. So I just want to leave you with the fact that before we saw Kishane Thompson run at the national championships 9.91 seconds, he did not partake in any runs in 2023. Though I do recall someone saying to me that he did run, but it was not registered. But because it's not registered on IAAF or World Athletics, then I can't speak to that. But with that said, track is Kishane Thomspon pretty much came out at the national championship. So even though we are concerned not seeing him, guess what? Grandmaster planner Stephen Francis knows exactly what he's doing, and he's going to be able to get his athlete to the point where he's able to turn up at the national championships and do exactly what is required to make it to Paris. Now, with that said, guys, like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.